am Shaggy, I am Philolitea, and I haven't turned on my controller. I can't ever just start ready. I can't just ever wait until I'm actually ready and there's nothing left to do to hit that live button. But whatever, here we are. I am Shaggy, I am Philolitea. We are going live to play some more Final Fantasy II. I am plugging in my phone so we can play for as long as possible. My controller is fully charged. I have my book chosen and ready. It is in the description of this video. Well, not the description, it is in the title of this video. And I don't like that I have to fix that every time I play. Okay. Tonight, we are going to be playing The Invention of Prehistory by Stefanos Geroulanos. That is his name. And we begin. I begin, anyway. This one, I don't mind ever having a female reader, but this one is a female reader. It's weird to me. Airships are powered by sunfire. I'm sure the Dreadnought's no different. Controlling sunfire is a tricky business. Let the flames get too high, you got a runaway on your hands. The engines will blow sky high. What you want to do is blow that thing's engine. Do that and the whole thing becomes an overgrown tub. Well, where does one get sunfire? Yeah, he's talking about, he opens up immediately about how he had never thought about how the way we presented Neanderthal in museums and in books, etc., as a claim about what they were like. And he says that it never even occurred to him until recently. He admits that in the book, and it's just like, okay, it's funny to me. And yeah, the author continues on to saying that the later more and more information about the Neanderthal has led us to believe that they were actually creators of the oldest, well, of art before humans, before Homo sapiens. Yeah, he makes the point that he asked the question: are Neanderthal considered to be intelligent now because they're depicted with white skin, or were they considered to be unintelligent because they were depicted with dark skin? And that's a good question to ask. Did we just make assumptions of them based on stupid things that we believed in our day-to-day that had absolutely nothing to do with Neanderthal? Okay, I don't know where I'm supposed to find sunfire. And yeah, some certain modern people actually believe that the Neanderthal were the original white race and that they were stupidly eradicated by African humans. It's just so stupid, the things that we believe. But yeah, this book is called Inventing Prehistory, and it's about where our misconceptions about the past come from, especially prehistory. And he's talking about the word primitive, and yeah, whenever you hear anybody, especially in the 19th and 20th centuries and 18th, and they use primitive, they're being racist, and they're trying to say that they live closer to basically the Neanderthal, or the primitive first humans to emerge from Africa. And barbarian is used in a similar way. Yeah, he goes, the theories of the past they're not just scientific and academic. Governments have absolutely used theories of the sunfire is the crest of the kingdom of Kashwan. Its flame still burns on the ground floor of Kashwan Keep. Scott and Gordon have told me many stories concerning the flame. The finer points of the tale are not known to me. However, I seem to recall that the flame cannot be held in just any torch. Sid told us that we might be able to use sunfire to destroy the dreadnought. Then there's no time to waste. You must depart for Kashwan Keep at once. If you hire Sid's airship, the journey should not take long. That leaves only one question. What can you use to bring the sunfire back? Hmm. And now he's being artistic about the techniques that astrophysics were able to use to map out the history of the universe, and how the techniques for mapping out the history of the human species is more difficult. You can't just take pictures of the center of the galaxy. There are no radio waves, these sorts of things. And yeah, he's talking about how um, psychological claims about the past raise even more questions than answers, because we need better data about psychological answers of the modern world. I'm going to turn my camera off because you can't really see me. He's talking about like emotions, and so he asks the question, are our emotions hardwired? And if they are, when did they become hardwired? Terse light. I knew that. I should walk around in circles and gain up some money, because I think I'm short a few spells too. I didn't mean to talk to him. I have to talk to him. We need 1200. Oh, you don't have mithril armor? I have to go back to the first town, Altair, to get Altair to get mithril armor? Yeah, the ascent, the descent of man, like these are real things. We speculate about humanity's emergence, but it feels real, he says. Yes. We need to be getting more money per kill, please. Hmm. What is this? What are these spawns? 9 gil. That's unacceptable. What is this? What are these? What are these encounters? What are you doing to me? Square? Squeenix? What are you doing to me here? We need... There we go. We need real... I'm trying to get money. I don't need this mess you're hitting me with. He's going through and listing all of the things that we have today and talking about effectively how all of those things was developed and has its own history, but was developed in history, like developed in time. Did I not buy? There we go. What? Just trying to make 1,500 gold real quick, and then we can move on. Oh, I should have changed their weapons. La da 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 da. Kyle and Mouse need to change their weapons. Mouse, those daggers, swords. That's what he's wearing. And Kyle goes staff, shield. Oops. Yeah, now he's talking about what I'm constantly talking about is that the news about new publications, new research, and not all of it is reputable, is being done every day into the human prehistory, and prehistory is before writing, so before about 3500 BCE. An example of new information and usually bad information coming out every day is those guys that published that paper saying that there are giant tunnels under the pillars rather under the pyramids. There aren't, but people will publish anything. Yep, the paleo diet, caveman strength, paleo thin, Neander thin. All of this is real, and it's just total bullshit. The carno diet, the carnivore diet, the all meat diet is trying to argue that that's how ancient humans used to eat. Those were the diets of Neanderthal and other ancient Homo sapiens. By ancient, I mean deeply prehistoric, Ice Age and older, 100,000 years ago. That the diets that we were eating were largely meat, and they're wrong. They're just wrong. I got into an argument with an idiot over this who was like, he's like, I'll pay you $1,000 if in 3 months, he goes, if you only eat on the paleo diet for 3 months and then report back to me what your, not paleo, carnivore diet, and report back your findings. And I said, okay, well, are you paying for all that meat? And he goes, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, I'm a fucking homeless person, you stupid fuck. Are you paying for all that meat? Are you buying all of that? Do you know how expensive meat is in the United States? Are you buying all of that? And he goes, well, no. And I'm like, do you really think that it's going to cost me less than $1,000 to eat only meat for a month? And he's just like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, you're a stupid person. Who does shopping? Meanwhile, while that is happening because a guy who wanted to be a Patreon subscriber for a minute was talking about it, and that guy joined the conversation to advocate for the idiot who wanted to be my Patreon sub. And you can tell now why that was a relationship that didn't last long. And Walter, I'm not calling you out by name, but I should, you stupid fuck. I nicknamed him Brain Fog, and he thought, I literally nicknamed him Brain Fog. I literally was calling him a stupid ass to his face. Literally every time we talked, I nicknamed him Brain Fog, and he thought it was a fucking compliment. Alright, come on now. One more fight. I keep starting to say she is talking about because she is a reader, but the author is a male. Pretty sure Stephanos is a male name. It could be a woman name. I don't know. The OUS, I'm pretty sure is male, though, in Greek names, but it doesn't matter. The narrator is female, so I keep starting to say she is saying because she is saying, but she's not the one writing. Didn't mean to go in here. Don't need it. He said, much like the history of the First World War, prehistory is basically a narcissistic fantasy of its authors. And that's true. The history of the World War One, his saying that the history of World War One being the narcissistic fantasy of the authors is actually really funny, because if you've ever tried to read the memoirs, not tried, if you've ever read Churchill's memoirs, that's absolutely what they are. They're just the delusions of a politician, of a political idiot. His memoirs of World War One. The delusions of a mass murdering fuckhead, in other words. Winston Churchill and his ineptitude in the World Wars One and Two qualifies him for the ineptitude of a mass murdering fuckhead. All of those governments, not just the Nazis, all of those governments, those European governments, and their leaders deserve to be remembered as mass murdering fuckheads, especially the French government in World War One. They mass murdered their own citizens. There we go, their own citizens, for the hell of it. Churchill, with his decisions with the British Navy, should be considered a mass murdering fuckhead. And I don't remember his name, but the Prime Minister of Britain that actually got them in the war, or that actually allowed, that believed that Hitler was a great dude and wasn't going to do any of the things that he absolutely said he was going to do. That guy deserves to be remembered as a mass murdering fuckhead. Every single one of them. But that's just not how we remember war. That's just not how we remember the leaders of wars with millions and millions and millions of casualties. Somehow we remember the leaders of those governments as heroes. It's incomprehensible to me, and I should not have come out here without hitting up the... In the end, I fucked up. But now we know where Kashwan is, so I need to go back and get and heal. I agree with him. He says that we should have a definition of humanity that doesn't rely on an origin story, and I agree. That's where he does say this, that religions began at origin stories, and religions maintained their hold over their uh, parishioners with origin stories, and that science needs to be better than that. Physics, astrophysics need to be better than an origin story. We're bored of Marvel and DC and their origin stories. We need a lot better from our science and religion. We need a lot better, especially from professionals. The professional theologians, academics, and scientists need to be a lot better. And I need to remember to turn on the fucking thing that turns off every goddamn time. That shit's annoying. I thought I turned it on. Continuous auto battle always turns itself off between boot ups of the game, and that's annoying. Yeah, and he makes the point about creation myths and creation stories and why they're useless, because Americans, Europeans, when they first made their way to North and South America, they asked how could beings in the Americas that aren't accounted for in the Bible, and it's like the Bible doesn't account for China or any of Africa either. Also, if you want to donate to my book fund, I need to buy some books on the subject of Adonis. I need to study Adonis and his worship, because Adonis was worshipped in gardens, and Adonis and Adonai. Adonai is the Hebrew word which came to mean Lord, and is the word that is one of the replacement names for God, either Yahweh or El. They also would call him Adonai, and Adonis and Adonai are the same character. They're the same word. So I need to know what that's about, because in the Euthyphro, Plato's Euthyphro, which I read for the channel today, and I'll be putting video to sometime this week. It's only about an hour and 15 minutes, even with my commentary. It's a pretty short book. It's one of the first things Plato wrote. Um, Socrates in the Euthyphro, or rather, not the Euthyphro. Euthyphro is the name of a human being. Socrates and Euthyphro agree about some ticky-tack thing I don't understand about um, Adonis groves. And so I need to research that. I need to know what that's about. And now he's talking about the guy that did the math and dated the... from 1750, had dated the Bible's creation to 4004 BC. 4004 BC is about 500 years before the advent of writing. And so if you read the Bible, if you read their creation myth as the settling of the Levant and Sumer, that happened about 4000 BC. About. And so if the Garden of Eden is supposed to be the first Sumerian settlement, it fits. It fits chronologically. But if you do that, you are reading the book like its authors, not like a believer. What really happened at the beginnings of humanity? That's how she read that. Really happened. I don't know that I'm making fun of her, but that's not how people stress that. That's not how anybody would say that. What really happened? Yeah, and then this author has to state outright that he doesn't particularly care for any one or other theory, and he has to say that because people will accuse him of otherwise if he doesn't say it, but they'll accuse him of it anyway because they didn't read his book. If they were willing to accuse him of that, they didn't actually read it. Huh. Good job, Kyle. Can you hear that dog? The violent state of nature, barbarians, the infancy of humanity, the earth before man, dinosaurs, ruins and vestiges, the Sanskrit language, Indo-European conquerors, stadia theories, evolution and evolutionary anthropology, matriarchy, the savage beneath the thin veneer of civilization, primitive communism, natives who disappeared, flooding hordes, cave art and primitive religion, totemic feasts and Freudian Oedipal murder, Nazi Aryanism and anti-Semitism, killer apes, Neanderthal, man the toolmaker, erotic apes, primitive warfare, mitochondrial Eves, lizard brains and creative explosions. These are the things that we are going to be talking about in this book. He says, these are all, that was actually one long quote. He says, I have been trying to select the things that are most controversial and influential and things that became second nature. Okay, so we shouldn't have not have come here so soon. There we're missing something still. We need to find something, some way into there now that it's locked. I'm skipping something because I'm listening to this book and talking to you, so I'm struggling with this game in a way I wasn't last night because we were walking around talking to everybody. But it depresses me to see these places that are actually, remember I said, fuck, a lot of people just died because of our failure? It actually does fuck me up to walk around those towns and see them empty of people. So I'm actually shielding my own emotions by not knowing what the fuck I'm doing right now. That means this is a good and well-written game. If I, an adult, am shielding the long-term effect of my emotions from a video game I've beaten twice before, it's well written. That's why we're playing it. Seeing those empty towns with those bomb pockmarks is very much like we were talking about with the mass murder of World Wars I and II, and that's what it's trying to make us feel. And so if that list of things that seemed like a list and seemed like maybe random things, you got to understand that I came to this book because that's a list of my personal pet interests. So this is just one of my favorite books I've ever read. He says, I'm not interested in any one theory. I'm interested in these concepts and how they shaped modern humanity over the course of the last million years. And so when I was talking to you in the Phaedrus about words being gods, being concepts, and that there were no such things as pantheons, that pantheon to refer to a group of gods is a modern concept, and what it describes is hierarchies of concepts. And so we're going to be exploring what we know about ancient hierarchies of concepts, not the gods, but these words and these ideas and how they shaped us. She may know how to stop it. No, I know how to stop it. I just need to talk to somebody about the city of Kashwan and the fire. We gotta go to Sid. I need to find... He left is the thing. Gordon left. Now, he's from Kashwan. And we told him that his brother said that he was tough. So there's a chance that he's in Kashwan already. So we just have to figure out how the hell to get in there. I probably should have talked to Minwoo and the old man because they seem to be giving us really good um, direction, advice, etc. And also, we kind of need to grind up some money. Yeah. And what he just said there, I actually am going to rewind that and I'm going to try my best to quote it because what he just said here is why I read history, but it's also why I'm so deeply fucked up. He says, appalling consequences that the stories, our story, have had. And he says, the consequences of the story cannot be bracketed. It's not a tale of horrors that have been overcome, where it turns out that we are all better for simply learning about them, like we're taught about history in grade school. He says, quote, if colonial and state violence today are not as global as they were in the 20th century, he says, our something of the earth is yet to peak. The ground we stand on is tarred, and dirty water flows throughout our homes. Our human economy is warping the planet and our human species, and that the story of how we become human uh, elicits this complexity and responsibility. And that's basically the end of that. Hmm. Yeah, he's right. The less bearable our lived experience is, the more we come up to this idea that our earliest infancies were better, and that's called primitivism, and it's real. Primitivism and naturalism are very real among college-educated whites. What? There's no way to cross the stone on foot. You need a snowcraft. I've heard that Joseph keeps his snowcraft hidden on the first floor of the cave. I seem to remember him saying something about that. Okay. But I don't need it. Why do I want to go up there? I don't have any reason to go up there. Save my daughter, that cowardly Borgin. Forgive me if there's anything I can do to help. All I have to do is ask. He says I don't have sunflower. He doesn't react. Since the Dark Knight took over, construction has been moving ahead of airship. If you want to know about airships, there's a man named Sid in Poft. Yeah, I know. He doesn't know anything about the Sunfire. Hmm. Okay, well, I know where the Sunfire is. How do I get it out of Kashwan? I saw it. It's right there at the beginning of that temple. So how do I get into Kashwan? I don't mind walking back and forth between these towns and not knowing A, because I like this game and I'm having fun doing that, and also B, because we really do need to grind the money. We're fine. Health, MP, our spell level, our weapons level, fine. We need money bad. Bad. Oh, dead end. No, it worked out. And so this book, he says, is the story of how we came to believe the things that we believe and the cost of those beliefs. And that's what I'm all the time talking about. And I try to go a lot slower than what a book can do. But I did go to a dead end. Our eagerness to deceive each other and ourselves, he says. Yes, that's why I have chosen Philolitea. If you look through, man, if I were to do my Audible collection, the 1,000 books or something that I do own and carry on my person at all times, not downloaded, but access to them is in my phone. My phone is on my person at all times. You would notice a lot of books with truth in the title. A lot of books where I was reaching, reaching for an author or somebody, an idiosyncratic genius, somebody who is reaching for the truth. And that is just something that nobody does anymore. So here I am. Let's talk about the truth, even if it's ugly. Someday they will call me the philosopher of the grotesque, because I don't want to talk about beautiful things. It's like there was this stunningly attractive woman in the Taco Bell when I walk in, like, wow. And of course, she's dressed exactly like what I was describing earlier today when I was talking about the difference in European and American fitness girls. And of course, she's spilling out in all the places that women think are unattractive in her workout gear, which is very small and very tight and looked awesome. But I like an overweight woman, so whatever. I'm an American in that regard. But she's not even overweight. She's just got more woman than what she needs at places that women think are ugly, is what I'm trying to say. I did not have a negative thought to think about her. She's about my age, so she's in her mid-30s, and she kept doing that thing where she was standing in front of a waist-high wall, and she would lean out over it a couple of inches so I could get a good look, and then she got tired of that and walked over to the other room and starts watching me to see if I'm looking over at her, doing that whole game of, I know I'm very attractive, but I'm also insecure because more of me is spilling out of this clothes than what I want, and that's why I'm working out. But I'm also going to get, and she got 4 or 5 people worth of food from that Taco Bell, and now she was on the phone while she was making that order. So the assumption is that she wasn't taking all of that home to gorge by herself. But the assumption also is that she absolutely the fuck was, because she was also driving a 4-door white Escalade. So that's one of the things, that's why more of her spills out than what she needs, and why she has to work out in order to get a fitness model's body. Oh shoot, is because she eats like a fat person. And so it's one of those things that I'm just watching it and I'm just thinking about it relatively. I'm just seeing this thing, and then I'm seeing her react to it, and it's like I'm just in a state of myself. Definitely not talking to her. I don't remember why I got to talking about her. He said something that made me think of it. Willing to lie to ourselves. I don't think it's true that the epithets that we use commonly, I don't believe that it's true that the epithets that we use about people drive them onto reservations. He just said that the indigenous Americans were driven onto reservations because of the epithets that we use to describe them, and I just don't think that's true. They were driven to live on reservations because they weren't able to adapt, or they refused to adapt to the inevitable. They couldn't breed faster than Europeans could import new people, and that's the thing. Indo-Europeans have done that since 5000 BC or whatever. They've done that since, well, about 3000 BC. That was how the Indo-Europeans settled everywhere that Indo-Europeans live. And would go in, they would create enough conflict with weapons to create distance from themselves and the indigenous people. They would import women, and then they would raid the indigenous people for their women, and then the indigenous men were bred out. We did that for 5,000 years or whatever, Indo-European speaking people, before we arrived on North America. My ancestors are Shawnee, man. Now he's talking about natural law, natural religion, and natural right, and how the people who were talking about him were trying to argue that there was something shared among all humans and their original state. Natural man, you may have heard of. And indigenous people were the first people that they thought of when they were writing. They were thinking about natural man as indigenous North and South Americans. But I don't believe that the ideas that we were thinking of them as primitive, or if the first man that we were imagining them like this, had anything to do with why they fought wars against us. I just don't believe that. It doesn't make sense as a method, because they didn't think of us as advanced. I shouldn't talk to her, but Kingdom Cash 1. I don't know how to get in. Okay. That's not what I meant to do. How do I get it? Okay. Okay. You're a dick. Someone will tell us. We'll find them. Please, Lord, save our king. Stay here. Don't destroy the dreadnought. Maybe the king knows. Maybe the king is still alive. And maybe Menwu and the king know. I like this. This is the kind of narrative gate progression quest that I like a great deal. Every 3 years, they celebrate a festival of the flame in Kashwan. During the festival, the sunfire is moved to Eagle's torch, while its brazier is cleaned. Shit. Oh, how does one get Eagle's torch? So many perished. Scott sealed the gates of Kashwan Keep to protect the sunfire in the event they were defeated. You'll need the goddess bell. Fuck yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Now we've made progress. What's the goddess bell? The whereabouts of the bell are known only to the Kashwan royal family. Fuck, we don't know where Gordon is. Gordon would know where the bell is kept, but I have not seen him lately. Fuck, we don't know where Gordon's at. I have heard Scott and Gordon mention the bell. The gates of Kashwan Keep only open to the voids of a Kashwan or the ringing of that bell. The bell rests deep within a cavern on the snow plains. It will not be easy to retrieve. So it's your intention to enter the snow cavern? Very well. If only Gordon were here, there would be no need for you to risk such danger, but he isn't, so you must. There's nothing I can do but pray for your success. Joseph knows the plains like the back of his hand. Aha. We were talking to that guy, and he's like, hey, Joseph has a snowcraft. Remember, he said Joseph has a snowcraft. That's the only way to get through the deep snow. Okay, so we got to talk to Jojo up here, take him on a bizarre adventure into the snowland to get the goddess bell. And he said, that one guy said there was a secret area by that blue crystal, remember? Fuck, we left the boat over there at Puffed. That is mildly annoying, but it's only mildly annoying. Oh, I paused my book and the app crashed. That's so annoying. Audible, your app is fucking unstable as shit, and I would like it to be more stable, please. I hope y'all are doing alright out there. Mr. S, I hope you're fucking doing alright whenever you get around to hearing this, whether it's now, I'm assuming it's now, or in the future. I hope you're crushing it, buddy. I hope you got a day off coming soon. I hope it's going to be good for you. And I hope that you're better than me and don't end up spending the whole fucking day asleep. I end up slept for 10 hours of today. It didn't end up affecting my productivity. I slept for 5 hours, and then I was awake for 2 hours, and then I slept for 5 more hours because I thought to myself, you really don't need to do 16 hours of being awake today. Not in a row. Not for nothing, but that's not going to make any streams that you do better. So maybe get some rest. impious races is what they were called at one point. I don't know what year we're talking, but the impious races is what they were talking about in the prehistoric past. And if you read or listen to me reading the Euthyphro, you will know why they chose impious. The only way to reach the snow cavern is on my snowcraft. I keep the snowcraft hidden in the mine. There's a blue stone on the floor, on the first floor that marks the spot. Look behind the stone and to the right. The secret room is there, and the snowcraft is inside. I'm sorry I couldn't help you find the mithril, so I want to make up for that by pitching in now. What are we waiting for? Let's go! Joseph joined the party. His name is spelled like a Northern European because he lives on the north of this continent. Could anyone descend the deep gorge into the deep past? And now what I want to do is say, you said deep twice. You couldn't have chosen another word for deep the first time? You can't go into the, I don't know, chthonic? Yep, he's right. By the middle of the 20th century, interest in the deep past was considered pomp. It was considered, oh, this is the 1800s, the 19th century with Jean-Jacques Rousseau. It was considered passé to care about the deep past. It was a joke. Yeah. Okay, we can take, because he's still, right. I'm not trying to repeat this quote because Jean-Jacques Rousseau is one of the worst people in the world in history. But his point was that, in this quote, his point was that, 1754, he was actually a century before I thought he was. I thought he was the 1800s, he was the 1700s. And he's talking about the inequalities of France and that the people of the 1700s, 18th century were studying the ancient past as a way to not look past their noses about the way things were then. So he said it is basically the only thing they know is the modern European, and he's right. That hasn't changed for 400 years or whatever. Usher in 1648. His name was Usher. I don't know his last name, but that's the guy that dated the world to the creation of the world to 4004 BCE. And yeah, even 100 years later, the intelligentsia of the century after that guy dated the creation of the earth to 4004, that was already considered a joke and stupid among intelligentsia of the following century. So that people still take it seriously is seriously problematic. It was never considered mainstream. Never considered mainstream. In fact, Rousseau, to argue against the idea, he brought up what we know about the Greek creation myths and how similar they were, which is something people still do today from an atheistic standpoint, to try to say that that Christianity or Judaism or whatever are nonsense, but what they don't understand is that's where they agree. And now he's talking about how they use natural law natural law and natural religion to criticize the monarchies and religions. So Catholicism of their day, Catholicism and Eastern Orthodoxy, but Eastern Orthodoxy doesn't get caught up in the modern reinterpretation of what 18th century people were talking about when they were talking about religion, but they were decidedly talking about Islam, Eastern Orthodoxy, and Catholicism. And they considered Protestants backwater idiots, provincials. Even the Protestants who were criticizing the Catholic Church didn't think of their religion as superior religion. They just didn't think of it in terms of natural religion. And they weren't using natural religion to criticize it. They were using natural religion to criticize the religion that they were criticizing, the religion that wasn't theirs. And anyway, the ones who were Protestant were mostly deist, so it's really hard to say that they were religious at all. And now he's saying that they reached back to Roman philosophers and Jesuit theologians for their evidence of the state of nature. And both of those groups of people located the state of nature at the beginning of history. And the beginning of history, again, is the beginning of writing. History means writing. History means the inquiry into the past and the ability to write it down. And that couldn't happen before writing. And it didn't happen for like 1,000 years after writing was developed, actually. But yeah, he makes the point that the 17th and 18th century, the first writers to talk about the state of nature were tentative, is the way he said it. They weren't trying to relate it to a real state of human history. They were imagining a state like frequent cannibalism. They were like Thomas Hobbes in 1751 is in imagining a total fantasy, like Thomas Hobbes called it, where men are wolfish to man, and then he did the nasty, brutish, and short. He, like, all of these things that you know about what prehistory was like were the fantasies. There were fantasies in the minds of people who never really should have been published. I mean, Hobbes is fine, I guess. I've read some of Hobbes. I haven't finished Leviathan. It's too long, and I had nobody to talk to about it, so why would I finish it? I didn't need anything from it. It's too fucking old to actually influence me. The best I can do in those old books is confirm whether they were right or wrong by my opinion. I've already arrived at the information. And that's not arrogance. Read Thomas Aquinas and tell me that you haven't already come to his opinions about religion and about theology and about the state of God. And if you haven't, then you need to read it, or you need to talk to somebody like me, because I've already sat at the throne of God experientially. Like, I have been at the crystal throne. I have been there experientially. I've seen it. I felt it. So I didn't need Thomas Aquinas to tell me that God sits as a mind above all other minds. That is it is the thinking thought of the universe itself. I didn't need that. I insist, that's not arrogance. And then between Hobbes and Rousseau, he says that the state of nature was rigorously tested against the indigenous peoples that the world had access to. And then John Locke talks about the Indian who doesn't know anything about private property being the original state, the primitive, the superior state of humanity, and it's like that, all of this kind of thinking. I tell you, I keep telling you over and over and over, good, bad, better, worse thinking is always a dead end. It's always a trap, because you just can't say anything true with it. Sure, it's true that good is better than bad, but that's not true. You understand what I'm saying? There's no deeper truth there. It's a truism for sure, but it's patronizing. It's we know and we already agree on that, so you're not furthering the conversation, right? Agree to disagree. We already did. That's why we're arguing. Yeah, the idea of the state of nature of Hobbes being wandering through endless forests with no other human relationships and no industry, no work, no reason to be alive. And you're going, that sounds to me like ennui, and you would be right. You would be right. That state never actually existed. It's a fantasy. I tell you what, modern people make a shitload of money telling you that it was real, insisting to you that you need to be terrified of a state of nature that doesn't exist. You see people, you can come and watch my lives where I'm engaging with the audience, and you can just watch people be amazed that I live in this state of nature, so far away from human civilization. Jerks. Silly, stupid people. By existing before human corruption, the earliest human state had no corruption. And Rousseau believed this stuff. And this is why you have bad ideas about how governments should work, because you stop at should. You go, well, it shouldn't be like that, and that's good enough. It's just not good enough. Well, what should it be like? Well, it should be ideal and perfect. Okay, but you know that ideal things aren't real things, that the inverse, the opposite etymologically of the ideal is real, right? So real things are by definition not ideal, Madge. Real things, by definition, are not ideal. Do I need to say that again? You want to memorize that. Well, ideally, it's not going to be like that. So prepare for it to be what it's really going to be. See what I'm saying? Ideally, I would already have $1,000 a month Patreon income. But really, I don't. So we need to be prepared to engage with the lives that we have and the realities that we actually occupy. Because not doing that is called schizophrenia and delusion. And it's dangerous for you and the people around you. I'm not joking. That is the definition of delusion. Just believing in a reality that doesn't exist. You believe in an ideality. And this is why all these people with their ideologies can kiss my ass. Ideology isn't real. It's just not. And so, Phil Aletheia could be about reality. It could be about being real. And people always say, "Oh, honest," or "Oh man, you're so real, you're such an OG." And it's like, I'm the realist because I'm not lying ever. Because I'm not ideal. Because I don't brush my teeth every day, and I don't have perfectly stained white, whiter than eggshell fucking veneers stapled to my teeth so that you'll think I'm pretty and that I never eat. Yeah, I fart on mic so that you don't think I might not be a real person. Why did my phone just blink? Did I just disconnect and you missed some of what I had to say there? Do I have any? It's so weird that sometimes it'll show me my comments and sometimes it won't show me my comments. I guess I haven't got any comments. It was showing me my comments earlier, Mr. S. The tabula rasa, the empty state. And this is what people actually believe children are like because a dumb fuck wrote it in a book once. I have no love for Rene Descartes. That guy is one of the world's dumbest fucks ever. Sure, he gave us Cartesian geometry. That doesn't make him not a dumb fuck. I think, therefore I am. Okay, so inversely, when you're not thinking, you're not? Shut up, Descartes. Slap you in the mouth with my dick. You don't cease to be when you're sleeping, folks. I guarantee you that if I write dickhead across your forehead with a Sharpie when you wake up, it will be there. While you're sleeping, if I write dickhead on your forehead with a Sharpie, when you wake up, it will be there. Because when you were not thinking, you were still being. You still had reality. You still had existence. Your thinking does very, very little to prove or affect your thinking or your being. You be regardless of the degree to which you think, because you already be. You be by merit of being. You think because you am human, and that's as far as that logical sequence goes. You am, therefore you am. It's very simple math. Ooh, that deer's very upset about my light being on over here. Did you hear that? This guy Herder, a German, decided that everything that is indispensable for a human in their infancy must also be indispensable for humanity in its infancy. And this is why Jordan Peterson says stupid shit. Because he thinks that he's being reasonable. He says stupid shit like how human infants are a burden on the mother that she has to offload onto the father, things like this. And he believes that because he reads proto-Nazi philosophy and calls himself an intellectual. He reads Marxist and communist fiction and calls himself well-read. Go fuck yourself, Jordan. You are an embarrassment to the human species. To infantilize native peoples is most certainly what people like Rousseau is doing. People like Rousseau are doing. What did it mean for the natural state to be a childhood? Are you fucking kidding me? However, if you wanted to talk about stages of adult evolution, stages of adult development, and how before those things were learned and memorized and became a part of civilization, humans didn't have them, that's fine. But childhood being about learning these things that civilization needs, about learning the complexity of engaging in a modern society, whenever that is stupid behavior. That's the thoughts of a stupid person that just doesn't know anything. Man is not born free. That's what somebody, I think it was Locke, wrote in The Social Contract, that man is born free, but everywhere he is in chains is just not true. Have you ever met a newborn infant? I met my brother and both of my sisters the day they were born, and I can promise you that what they were not was free. In fact, I can tell you that the cost, the medical costs, can destitute a family. Guy can speak beaver, and these are, I guess, beavers. So I just asked that beaver where the monster or the bell is, the guardian bell, goddess bell, whatever it's called. And that beaver told me that the secret passage is into, there's a secret. Kyle says secret passage in wall to right. Monster guard bell. Bell in wall. Snook snook chit. That's how um, that's how Guy speaks. It's a little, you know, insensitive, but whatever. In 1844, Robert Chambers compared childhood uh, to the evolution of humanity, and he called us sanguinary, deceitful, and aggressive. So there you go. Sanguinary means having a particular appreciation for blood. Bloody is really what sanguinary just means, bloody. And what they're trying to do, they don't know it, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to they're trying to reclaim original sin. With that state of nature is trying to reclaim original sin, and now we move on to the noble savage, which is is just as aggressively offensive. Savage is even more aggressively offensive, primitive. Savage means wild in French. The l'enfant sauvage means the wild child, and it means a child that was. I read a lot about this in grade school, and I ended up actually doing an EOG test about it. But l'enfant sauvage were children like Tarzan. And if I'm pronouncing that French wrong, it's because I'm doing it on purpose. L'enfant sauvage. They sound like they're drowning. The French, they sound like they're drowning. In what? I don't know. Probably semen. Like they're just constantly gurgling. That's what they sound like to me. Germans just sound to me like they would rather not be talking. But if you've ever tried to learn their language, there's a reason they'd rather not use it. Well, that was a lot of spells, but hey, you leveled. Just in case. That's an adamantoise guarding the bell. Stay on your toes, says Joseph. Okay, Joseph. It's probably not gonna let me hurt it with melee. We're gonna try though. Punchy, punchy, punch. Ooh, we hurt it. The axes didn't hurt. The punchy, punchy, punch did. And the stabby stab didn't. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go punchy punches, and then we're gonna shoot it in the face with a fireball, and we're gonna shoot it in the face not with that, with a thunder beam, and then he's just gonna punchy punches. And punchy punchy punches. And then Thunder 2 says, Yowza, that's not a lot of damage. Fire 2 also says, Yowza, that was more damage. This fight's going to take a long time. Punchy, punchy, punches. Yowza. Joseph, there's a very low chance I don't heal you because I don't care if you survive this fight because we don't actually get experience at the end. We do, but it's not a number, and you're a temporary party member, so whether you survive or don't doesn't matter, and whether you get experience to me or don't doesn't matter. But there you go. This is why we grind up just a little bit at the beginning of the game. This is why we wanted level 2 spells. We don't need level 3 to get through that fight. And we don't want to beat it so fast that it's not fun. But now we're almost maxed out in experience that we can gain on our weapons. There's something in the wall. It's the goddess bell. Fuck yeah. That's how I feel about that. Now you know. Knowing is half the battle. And yeah, now she's talking about, he, the writer, is talking about Julius Caesar and all the Germani tribes, and he's right that the racism that was attached to those people was attached much later. It's actually not in Julius Caesar. I've read some of that, but I've read that section about all of the difference in the Gauls, the Celts, and the Germani, and he's explicit that these are different people that deserve the respect of the Roman state. Maybe not the respect of Roman people and individuals like Julius Caesar himself, but every one of the people that he named, the Alemanni, etc., deserve the respect of the Roman state. Curses! You've already gotten to the goddess bell, says Borgin. First you ruined my standing with the Emperor, and now this. The Emperor will never forgive me for messing this up. If I ever get back to the Empire, he'll have my head. But I'm still a soldier. If I'm gonna die, you're coming with me. Heard that, Borgin. Wow, Borgin, you suck at everything. That wouldn't have, even if I had only done 50 damage like I did to the Adamantoise, that wouldn't have taken the full turn. Mouse is level 5 at shields. Oh, we are not maxed out with our weapons. That boss fight lasted long enough, and that's why I did it the way I did. That boss fight lasted long enough that we almost leveled up our weapons to 5 with Mr. S and Mouse. I may have lost, but don't think that you've won. I've booby-trapped this cave. Just a little parting gift from me to you. You just got here. When did you have time to booby-trap it? Wait, he got here, booby-trapped the cave, and then learned that he was late? That's hilarious. This isn't, though. Damn it, Joseph says, catching the rock like a badass. Go on, get out. We not leave you. I can't hold it much longer. Run! It's up to you now, Mr. S, my sweet Nellie. I don't know why they think that Furion is the main character, but whatever. He could have said Maria. He could have said all 3 of our names and chose not to. Maybe they didn't have enough characters and they didn't want to use the chat box for him to say all 3. Or maybe everybody's just really taken with Mr. S. Maybe they're just really impressed with his bandana. They're like, the way that you wrap your bandana is really cool because it doesn't really keep your hair out of your face or off the back of your neck. It's pretty cool. What bandanas are for is not what you're using yours for, Mr. S. That's pretty cool. Also, oh, you're wearing a cape. Why are you wearing a cape? You were just a regular dude. Anyway, you're probably going to save the world, so we're just going to assume that you're saving the world. Because you're the male who isn't Downsy. So, you're unofficially the main character, whether you want to be or not. What if I were female and Mouse is the character that I identify with? What if? Shut up. Shut up, Shaggy, with your damn social justice. Which is funny because I actually straight up noped out of, actually, I didn't nope out, but I got annoyed with Potion Permit for that exact thing. For that exact thing. You let me choose male or female, and then you don't use my gender pronoun. Get fucked. That's not actually, I didn't actually feel the get fucked part, but I was super annoyed by it. And if you've watched that half hour, that's a bad game. Would not recommend. I know I was hungry and in a bad mood because I was hungry, but the game instantly put me in a bad mood by doing that dumb shit and then not having a game. And also the story's really stupid. Yes. Yeah. No, she's talking about how near modern historians called the Gramani tribes that did ultimately, Edward Gibbon is actually who she's arriving at, but or he's arriving at, but um, these people they rewrote the destruction of the Roman state into the liberation of the European landmass by the Gramani people, and whatever. That's, I don't know that that's wrong. I don't know that it's right. It's just these things evolved. But they also made an effort to idealize the way the German people lived, and so there's a lot of work today that's going into reclaiming the fact that, well, no, actually, Roman roads were superior to the German way of life. Roman aqueducts were superior. Roman baths were superior. They did lead a cleaner, longer life. That is true. But we also know that they used so much lead that the average person in the Roman world was 5 to 10 uh, points of IQ lower than us. So by the end, they were borderline retarded because of their running water, streets, aqueducts, all of these things were underscored with lead. So they were poisoning themselves at the same time that their techniques were healthier. But I was talking this morning, like, I don't know. I don't brush well enough. My teeth, I don't brush my teeth well enough. And I didn't learn to get used to brushing my hair until later in life because I believed this stuff about the natural world being superior. Well, we don't need to brush our hair or our teeth. They didn't. Well, A, they did. And B, you do. So I'm still trying to learn the habit. I'm still trying to figure out a routine for brushing my teeth every day. I had it down in my life. I've told this story already today. I don't need to talk about it twice. Just saying. Even I, a person who advocates as loud as he can for adulting and confronting your weaknesses, even I don't have no weaknesses. I have weaknesses. I have short spots. I have blind spots. I have things I get wrong all the time. Repeat mistakes I make all the time. You watch these. You've seen me get tired and confused, just like coming here too soon because she told me to. She told me to come here, so I came here. I could have done better than that. I could have done a little bit more research by talking to people around town. But also, if we're just talking about how much I like this game, I like this game that it doesn't say, "All right, go to Cash One," and that's it. Like, it did give me direct it gave me direct directions, right? It direct instruction about what to do once I figured it out. Once I figured out who I needed to talk to. And I like that. I like that a lot. As the clear tone of the bell rings out, the lock opens without a sound. Now, hey, Gordo. I came to retrieve the Sunfire. I thought I was the only one left who could open the door. I'd meant to go for Eagle, or I'd meant to look for Eagle's torch, but it's a monster's den in here. I can't keep going on my own, and I can't return empty-handed. I don't know what to do next. I do. You know your way around the keep, right? Do you think you could help us find our way through? I'm sorry. The keep is riddled with secrets. I wouldn't know my way around any better than you, but I do want to fight. Will you let me come with you? Hell yeah, pal. Gordon, join the party. Remember the foreshadowing about how the whole thing where the queen or princess Hilda wouldn't let him join the rebellion? Well, she wouldn't let us join either. But here we are, buddy. Let's do this, Gordon. Let's save the world. How are you gonna die? I guess all of our extra party members haven't died, just Joseph. R.I.P. Joseph. I should have talked to your daughter and seen her mourning. I think I did, I just don't think I read it out loud. Mouse's evasion is up to 73%, 18 agility. All of those stats could be a lot higher, but we don't need them to be. Look at us. We need to walk through this like blasting ourselves with spells. I'm trying to let the game catch up to us a little bit, but there is going to be a section that I'm going to have to seriously grind way crazy, like crazy compared to where we are right now. But I don't want to be so powerful the game's just not fun, you know what I mean? That even dungeons are just a boring slog of auto attack, that's not fun. Not fun to watch. Like this, let the blind work. Let it do its best. Well, Mr. S gets to level 5 in weapons. And mouse. Unarmed, I meant. 5 and unarmed. Right? Did I? 5 and unarmed means dagger swords, baby! You get excited about dagger swords. And then she gets to go unarmed. Because he's still using... No, he's not. She gets to use her bow, because that's her move. That's like her primary weapon. And then he has Isuna, which we can use to get rid of that there blind. Let's do it. And now she's talking about Hegel, and I don't like Hegel. Hegel is one of my least favorite human beings in history, but Hegel taking poetic liberties to praise the German expansion over Rome, right? The Germanic tribes were also defenders of other tribes, they explained. The good barbarians were indigenous to Germany, you see, and they resisted the bad barbarians, the Huns, you see. And you can see how that line of thinking led certain people to come to really stupid conclusions in the 20th century. Well, we read that Hegel said that the real Europeans came from Germany. So we're the master race. Stupid. You're both wrong. Hegel was wrong, and what you just said was so stupid you made everybody dumber for 100 years. And counting. Actually, it's not been quite 100 years since 1933. Ugh. If you could see my Audible library, you would see the sickening number of books I read trying to understand how Nazi Germany was allowed to happen. I know way too much. Is that me disconnecting, or is that me... I don't know what that sound is. What's up, Mr. S? You texted me, I saw it. Trying to find it. Give me a sec here. Sim Paul! I was just thinking about Paul when I was talking to Gordon. I was like, I wonder if Paul's going to join the group. And I didn't say it out loud because I was reading Gordon's dialogue. And Gordon is a serious character that we care about because his brother died in a heartfelt way. And we sent him a message. So I was trying not... I'm not saying that you did anything wrong by making fun. It's actually funny. I'm laughing. But yeah. Yeah, we're looking forward to when... How does Paul join the party? Or join the party? And yeah, why didn't she send... That's a good question. Why didn't she send Paul after the Eagles torch? Why are we doing this? That is a good question. The rebellion has professionals to do this job. That is a good question. I don't mind, but the rebellion is a little bit inept. The ineptitude of the rebellion is a little bit sad, actually. That's kind of like they lost so badly. Uh, they got so badly behind the eight ball because of the dreadnought and because of Sid leaving the rebellion and all these things that I really I never would have thought about making fun of it because it's seriously drama and it makes sense. But also, yeah, if we wanted to like take the piss out of it, why is Paul not the one doing the things that we are doing?